What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Dax Fanzone and Endzone. No bandwagoners on this podcast allowed, just fans with real takes. I'm your host, Dak. Thank you for joining me. Um, Please, if this is your first time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like the content. I have a great show for you guys planned out today, so let's get into the topics of discussion I have mapped out for y'all. We're going to be talking about some of the storylines, the coordinator arms race, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators being hired around the league, some intriguing names that were former head coaches. I'm going to talk about the Joe Brady hire. We're going to talk about is Sam Darnold elite after his big game in the NFC Championship, and then I want to talk about the Rams and Broncos offseason, what their outlook um, is going to be going into the offseason as they've been eliminated. Got some good topics for you, but first orders of business, let's talk about the newest news in the NFL, and that's the Joe Brady hire. So, Joe Brady is now the new head coach for the Buffalo Bills. They decided to hire within the organization. Joe Brady has previously coached at LSU, where he was in charge of calling plays and helping develop Joe Burrow, who's an elite quarterback in this league that many consider maybe to be a top quarterback, right? And maybe number one. And that's a topic for another discussion. But he also was an offensive coordinator with the Panthers before becoming the OC here in Buffalo. But it's been a great match for Josh Allen and Joe Brady. It just makes too much sense to promote him. He's been in charge of an offense that's been top five the last couple of seasons. Josh Allen won a MVP under Joe Brady. He's gotten the most out of his quarterback. He's gotten the most out of this offense, especially when Ken Norton got fired. I believe that's his name. Um, Previous seasons ago. So they were top four in rushing, top four in scoring, explosive offense. They're one of the main reasons why that they were in contention this season and considered contenders, maybe the AFC darling to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. But that didn't happen. But now Joe Brady gets to delegate things the way he likes and run his operation and conduct this team the way he really wants to. After Sean McDermott was handed the papers out to get out the door, right? Handed the boot, get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. So it's going to be exciting. I like this. This really is proves to my point that I've been talking about. Like the NFL is really a quarterback driven league when you really think about it. And teams are really trying to get the most out of their quarterbacks, right? And like I said, he got the most out of Josh Allen, being that he won the MVP. Now he can decide to add some playmakers. I'm sure he'll want to tailor this offense the way he likes and upgrade this roster, maybe in the wide receiver room, getting Josh Allen some legitimate talent at the wide receiver position. And then you look on the defensive side, right? I guess it's rumored to that Jim Leonard, I guess, is the leading candidate to be the defensive coordinator for Joe Brady, who's been highly regarded around the NFL circles, and Jim Leonard is highly regarded in Broncos country. A defensive-minded coach, talented, very smart. So I love this hire. I know I played the game as on the previous episode for gamble hires, genius hires. For me, this is a genius hire. Josh Allen needed a offensive-minded coach to really help him out. Like I said, this offense has been great. So this is going to be, I'm excited to see what the Bills do in the off season. Now, on to the next topic. I do want to talk about our next segment, the coordinator arms race. Now, the coordinator's arms race has been a interesting and intriguing storyline. If I'm being honest, yeah, I know it's not free agency, it's not draft, and we're not looking at signing players to get a competitive edge. We're looking at hiring coordinators to get a competitive edge. If I'm being honest, uh, this is amazing, man. Like I said, this is a quarterback-driven league. You get Mike McDaniels, who gets hired to the Chargers, just to name as an example. That was a previous head coach, former head coach with the Dolphins. Now he gets to coach up Justin Herbert, and will they get the most out of him? I believe they do. You look back at some of these performances, and you know that Mike McDaniel has had some explosive offenses. You look at the game. I mean, and this hurts to talk about, but Mike McDaniel was the head coach the time the Broncos lost 70-20 against Miami. They put up 70 points, so you know that Mike McDaniel is going to be a special coach. This is a great fit for them immediately. As we know, the Chargers are contenders with this hire, I feel like, despite having not added any offensive pieces, right? He'll get to tailor the offense the way he likes. This is amazing. I like this hire. I'm a little worried about it. Nah, not really. But shout out to the Chargers. This was a great hire. What I would say is Mike McDaniel is a chip off the old Mike Shanahan coaching tree. Has the West Coast principles installed within his offense. So shout out to him. That's a great hire. Another one that I really liked was Brian Daboll, who was hired by the Tennessee Titans. I talked about on the previous episode that it would be smart for Robert Saleh to hire a great offensive coach, an offensive-minded one. Brian Daboll, former head coach for the Giants. He's a veteran. It's really nice because I think they just drafted Cam Ward, so I think he's really going to get the most out of Cam Ward now. And so that's a good one. And then the defensive side, Jonathan Gannon, after being let go by the Cardinals, gets a defensive coordinator position, who is a defensive genius as well, highly regarded around the league. When he was with Philadelphia, that's why he got the head coaching position with the Cardinals, is now the Packers DC. So it's an arms race in the NFL. So this is going to be exciting, man. It really talks and speaks to the level of talent that was in the coaching ranks, right? Like of coaches that were let go, that were looking for positions, but some chose to go the coordinator route, and maybe they'll get another shot at another time. So I'm excited by some of these moves around the NFL. Of course, there was a bunch of other ones that we saw happen. But the next topic I do want to discuss is Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold had played a phenomenal game. He had a solid performance. I'll say this. I'm a Broncos fan, and that's not changing, but I can still appreciate great football. And what the New England Patriots and Seattle Seahawks are doing is real. You don't reach this level by accident, right? That's credit to coaching from Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald, what they've done with their teams, basically taking them from last to first and now in the Super Bowl. So congratulations to the Seahawks and the Patriots on advancing. Now I'll say this. While with Seattle advancing to the Super Bowl and Sam Darnold playing winning football, the question wasn't about what he used to be. It's what he is now as a quarterback. And he's improved. And he proved in the NFC Championship game, going toe-to-toe with Matthew Stafford and winning a big game, who I think Matthew Stafford should be the MVP, but that's a topic for another day, right? But he's improved at every stop. San Francisco, he went to Kyle Shanahan's, I like to call quarterback rehab. You saw what Mac Jones has done now. Minnesota, and now with Seattle, he's had back-to-back 14 win seasons. It's been phenomenal. He's really trended upward. Is he considered an NFL elite quarterback? I would say anywhere from the top 15 up, honestly. Many doubted him. So yeah, the real question I would ask you, do you trust Sam Darnold? I would say I do, because all this man does is win. Look at the stats. He's put up this season over 4,000 yards passing, 25 touchdown passes, 14 interceptions. Maybe you would like to see the interceptions down a little bit more. 99.1 passer rating. But in the playoffs, he was phenomenal. He elevated his game. 470 pass yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 122.4 passer rating. You want to see quarterbacks in the postseason not really show that they don't make turnovers, right? That they don't force themselves into turnovers. They play clean football. They're efficient. They command the offense, and especially in big games, Sam Darnold did his thing, led his team to the Super Bowl, and a lot of people were they did not like this signing in the offseason when Sam Darnold first initially signed with Seattle. A lot of people laughed at it. They didn't think he'd be successful. Well, look at him now. He is successful, a great fit with Seattle. They're in the Super Bowl, and I'm actually going for Seattle in the Super Bowl. I think they just have too much talent. And shout out to the Patriots, though, right? They, like I said, Mike Vrabel, I think, ultimately will end up winning the Coach of the Year award, rightfully so, from worst to first. Really done a great job. Drake May is another quarterback in the MVP discussion. He really played his game against the Broncos, utilized his mobility. And credit to the Broncos and the Patriots, though, because they drafted quarterbacks who were both in that 2024 draft class. 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first 12. They really found their franchise quarterbacks, and that's going to be a intriguing matchup that I will like to see for the foreseeable future, going head to head. Bo Nix and Drake May. We didn't get it this time around, but we will get it next time around. I can promise you this, ladies and gentlemen. It's been special. It's been a special season all the way around, especially for the Broncos and the Patriots, the Seahawks, all teams that really turned it around quickly, right? So next order of business, I want to talk about the Broncos and the Rams. Now, the Broncos and the Rams, I mean, yet I know despite being that they were eliminated, I know I'm sure both fan bases are hurt. I'm really hurt. But the future is bright for the Broncos, while the Rams, they're going to have to reload, and they're really going to have to try to push all their chips in this offseason to win immediately with Matthew Stafford. Looking at the layout of what they need to do, they have about 45 to 60 million, I think, going into the offseason. Don't quote me on the exact numbers that they have available, but they have some needs. They're going to need to tackle the cornerback position, maybe right tackle. They need to find the next quarterback behind Matthew Stafford. They're probably going to need to extend guys like Puka, Turner, and Avila. They got some work to do this offseason for sure. Not to mention they have a couple first-round picks, one being from Seattle in that trade. I mean, not Seattle. Atlanta being the trade that they made when Atlanta decided to trade up to draft James Pierce. So shout out to them. They got their work cut out for them. Their identity, they have a veteran quarterback, strong roster, aggressive front office. You've seen how they usually run it. F those picks, right? Kind of thing. But they'll be back in the fold. Obviously, they're going to be back in the mix, contending. I don't see why they wouldn't. But like I said, the difference between the Broncos and the Rams is the Rams will really have to push their chips in unless they find a quarterback they like too that can succeed behind Matthew Stafford and help them feel a little more comfortable moving off Stafford, or if he does retire, right? I'm not saying that they would push him out the door by any means. But you want to get the most out of your quarterback with the amount of years you hopefully have left. So let's talk about the Denver Broncos. That loss, and I know I'm a Bronco fan, but I'm also trying to be as biased as I can while doing this show. It's hard. Trust me. The Denver Broncos have a foundation already. They've extended players like Quinn Miners, Patrick Surtain, Nick Bonito, Zach Allen. They have their core pieces. Bo Nix on a rookie scale contract, so that's cost effective. Their defense is already playoff level. They're elite. They can. It's crazy to think that they could really add to an elite defense this offseason as well. Maybe inside linebacker, I would say, is one. Beefing up those trenches. You saw how the Bills kind of took advantage of them. But they also need playmakers, and Bo Nix really balled out in that game head-to-head against Josh Allen. But it was very apparent that he needs an elite wide receiver because we led the league, I would say, in drops, or we were one or two, ranked one or two. Either way, we need some depth. Um, I think the thing I would say though about Denver is we don't have to push our chips all in. We're in our Super Bowl window now, especially like I said, having Bo Nix on a rookie um, contract has its advantages. And ultimately, you have a young quarterback, defense, smart roster building. I really like what the front office has done with in terms of contracts, signing players to great salaries. You know, the base salaries are very minuscule against the salary cap. Shout out to them. So, like I said, the Rams, they're trying to buy time. They're trying to get the most out of what they have immediately because they don't really know what Matthew Stafford will do. I think he'll be back for sure next season. Um, but the Broncos have time. They definitely do. It's exciting. I'm excited for the offseason. We're going to hear a lot of player movement too, I would imagine, throughout the NFL. It's been fun to see a lot of these coordinators get jobs who were former head coaches. I think the NFL has really gone in a different direction, really trying to have a competitive advantage in terms of coaching, right? Scheming up against each other. This is chess, not checkers, ladies and gentlemen. So you're going to see some other coordinators probably move around. I just heard that the Broncos fired their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi. So Davis Webb now could be potentially in the mix as the next OC if he doesn't get that Raiders position, since the Bills have taken their name out of the Davis Webb hat, of options for him to coach at. Right, he's no longer involved in that. But yeah, it's been exciting. We're probably gonna hear some other coaching hires. I know another one that I know came up for coordinators because it's like I said, this arms race for coordinators has been quite the storyline. I know I've switched going back to that topic, but it's very intriguing to me. Brandon Staley, former Broncos defensive coordinator and was a head coach for the Chargers, decides to go be the defensive coordinator for the Saints. Mike Kafka, who some are very familiar with, great offensive mind, interim head coach of the New York Giants, is now joining the Detroit Lions in a high offensive ranking coaching role. So that's good to see. I did talk about Daywald McDaniel and Jonathan Gannon. Christian Parker is another coach who was highly regarded around the NFL. He becomes a defensive coordinator with the Eagles. No, not the Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys. Let me look that up. I want to double check because I want to steer you guys straight. I'm looking it up right now. I want to say it was the Cowboys. Christian Parker, yeah, with the Cowboys. So excuse me, I corrected my mistake there. But I'm curious as to what you guys have to say about who are your favorite coordinator coach hires, whether that be on offense or defense. Let me know. Let me know what the Broncos and Rams have to do to really get better this offseason and sustain that title of being contenders. It's very exciting. Great season, great offseason ahead. Sam Darnold's going to be able to show off in the Super Bowl. Joe Brady gets to coach up Josh Allen and run things the way he wants. I'm curious on all your guys' feedbacks, what your guys' thoughts are. Please like, share, and subscribe. This has been a fun episode. Let me know how I did. Give me feedback. I want to grow. I want to try to become the best that I can be for you guys. So I'll say this. My NFL takes have been delivered today. There's no hot take. I'm sorry. Probably drove you nuts with some of them. But the end zone's been reached. This is the Dax Fan Zone and End Zone. Have a good one. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go, team.